Sometimes life tries to steal your peace and dim your light, but John 10:10 promises life to the fullest. I'm your host, Stacey, asking humble heroes the 10:10 questions for one purpose, life to the fullest. Welcome to 10:10 Living. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 10:10 Living podcast. I'm Stacey, and today you have the pleasure of meeting our next guest, Gabby Sanchez, who is also my wonderful husband. And this is the round 2 of the Unsuspecting Duo series. And I'd like to take a moment and just remind our listeners, if this is the first time you've tuned in, as to why 10:10 Living, what that means to me, and why life to the fullest. And then you'll get to dive in and meet Gabby. About 10 years ago, I began my business called 10:10 Living based on the principle of John 10:10, learning that life to the fullest is actually possible. But it isn't just by happenstance that this comes to full fruition. It's a choice that we all have, and it is available to all of us. As I began my career as a trainer and Pilates instructor, I worked with people of all ages, walks of life, genders, young, old, and older. And I learned by real life application that certain habits, choices, and thoughts draw us closer to the fullest version of ourselves, and certain ones draw us away from it. I started to pay attention to other people, to see what they did. And when I came across individuals that seemed to be living life to the fullest, even with tough situations, I started to take note. I decided to take heart to those nuggets of wisdom, and I started to apply them to my own life to see if it could work for me too. And it did. I surrounded myself with people who I noticed live life to the fullest consistently. Something important here is that what they all had in common was extraordinary difficulties they faced, and yet they were still healthy, full of joy, great senses of humor, and they all have done incredible things in life. And then life threw me personally a bunch of curveballs, hard things, and I got the real chance to decide, which way am I going to go? Now I can implicitly say, from what I have learned and from what I have applied in my life, that living life to the fullest is possible no matter what. It is also my steadfast purpose to share it with the world, that it's possible to go through the worst difficulties and still live this full, abundant, more than we could ever ask for, think, or imagine life. That's how this podcast was brought to life. I started thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if I could interview people from all walks of life who are living life to the fullest their way and share it with the world so that we can hear the different perspectives of all walks of life and how they're doing it. A quote from Tribe of Mentors that I love and that I snagged from there is, the one true voyage would be not to travel through 100 different lands with the same pair of eyes, but to see the same land through 100 different pairs of eyes. The irony of our fullest life compared to one another is one person might think that what I call my fullest life would not be what they call theirs at all. And that's what makes this so fun. So I call my guests humble heroes that I feature, aka this word wonderkins, people who show exceptional talent, ability far beyond their years, and someone who shines light and wisdom. It's not the most successful according to culture or the most well-known. In this podcast, you're going to meet some of the healthiest people I've ever met who live out living life to the fullest, which when the principles you hear are applied, anyone can make this possible for their own life. So this podcast is meant to be interactive. So as I enter into introducing you to our guest, Gabby Sanchez, my wonderful husband, I hope that you also make this interactive for yourself and apply this to your own life as I ask him the 10:10 questions. So without further ado, welcome, Gabby Sanchez. I would like to introduce you and give you a little bit of background of who this wonderful man is. Gabby was born and raised in Chiapas, Mexico, and today lives here in Utah with me, his wife, Stacey. He's a lawyer by training, a business leader and entrepreneur by experience, and the proud dad of 5 amazing kids. And now me, bonus mom of 5 amazing kids. Throughout his life, he has been passionate about building opportunities for others through business, education, and service. His journey has taken him from a small border town in southern Mexico to executive leadership and now entrepreneurship. But at the center of it all is his love for family, faith, and helping people create a better future. And I just want to say throughout the podcast today, I'll be noting how you can connect with him. On Instagram, you can find him at Hands for Hope Foundation, and the website you can reach him is www.handsforhopefoundation.com. Without further ado, welcome, my love.
Thank you, baby. What a privilege it is to be with you here. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
I've seen you work really hard and put a lot of time into this. And I always kiss you goodbye before you come here, but I've never been here. So now it's my first time, and I'm so proud of you for all you've done. So thank you for inviting me. What a treat.
You're welcome. This is a dream come true for me to be able to have my better half here with me doing this. It's a dream fulfilled right here as we speak. So I just have to say too, if you're watching this on video, there's a reason for how we dress today. And if you're listening, maybe you pop over and check out what we're wearing. It's a large piece of our story. And I was a co-host on another podcast, and I did the same thing when I shared our story. I wore this outfit. It's the outfit that we met in. So this white piece of clothing is where I met my husband.
Yes.
It was everything. The earrings and everything. And then fast forward, we got our engagement pictures in this as well. And I added the little flower in my hair. And then this is the necklace I wore when we got married. So it tells a story. And not only that, but the rings I have on are this pinky ring. It's a little tiny plastic arcade pinky ring that when he asked me to be his girlfriend, yes, chivalry is still alive. I kept it, and this means so much to me, even though it was a few cents. And then the second one was he replaced it to just say, hey, let me give you something solid to wear. And it's amazing because it actually has a heart in the stone. And when the sun reflects it, you can see that, which is just very telling. And now here we are married and living out our best lives literally together.
Amen.
And so without further ado, I'd love to start asking you these 10 questions. And you guys are in for a beautiful ride and journey today as you hear his story throughout these questions. So
thank you.
I love you.
I love you
so much. Question number 1. How many years young are you on paper, and what is your age in the 1010 living spirit?
I am 52. I turned 52 last April. I'm 1974 model. And when I was thinking about this question, I quickly concluded that 52 is truly just a number for me. And I've heard that so many times. I didn't really know what it meant, but it means that it really is just a number because I've never felt better. I see where I am in life. I see what's happened in the last 52 years. And I have learned so much from everything, highs, lows, stumbles in life, beautiful moments and experiences, frustrations, and all the things that you can imagine have gotten me here. And I am happy. I am fulfilled. I am hungry. I am anxious to get going faster and faster. So truly, even though I've been in this world for 52 years, I believe I'm getting to my peak, which I thought I was at my peak when I was probably 30, 32, 35. But I am now ready to get going even faster than before. When I think of what I am living, the life I'm living now, and what's ahead, it gets me excited. I really feel excited. And that sense of excitement can be lost in life when you get so caught up in that moment of whatever challenge you're facing or whatever dream you're chasing. Is just so interesting how life teaches you in those ways. So I'm really excited, and I feel like all those years have prepared me to be here and to be ready to do what I need to do and what's ahead, to tackle what's ahead.
Well, I love that you answered And the reason I ask this question is for that reason, to encourage listeners to say, it doesn't matter what your age is, but how you think, how you live, how you feel, how you take care of yourself. And you can also reverse that. If you're feeling not great, you can apply it to your life and say, well, why is that? And apply it. Yeah. So I love having you as my husband. Especially, I love hearing you say that you feel better than ever, and what a gift that is to have health. And I'd love for you to share that quote that you...
Thank you. I once, and I've read so many definitions of this word. I dedicated a lot of the time of my reading and pondering in life to really define what happiness means to me. And there's so much. It's overwhelming. There's so many definitions, so many takes, so many ideas of what happiness means. But I found one that was simple. And to me, happiness is having someone to love, doing something or having something to do, and having something to look forward to. I think that keeps me alive. That is what I am living now. That's why when you asked the question, I said, I'm really happy. I'm happy, fulfilled, because I go back to that definition. And a few years ago, I read this book called The Second Mountain, and it transformed the way I see life. Even though I wasn't ready to apply all those principles in my life when I read the book, it was awakening is probably a word that comes to my mind. And this book is by David Brooks. If you have read it, then read it again, because it teaches you a bunch every time you read it. But if you haven't, look it up. But it talks about life in a different way, which is climbing a mountain. And the book talks about how when you climb your first mountain, you're young, you're hungry, you want to conquer the world, and you do it in a selfish way. All the goals you set, all the things you have in that matter to you are centered around you. And even though that's not bad, it explains the journey that you have climbing that first mountain. And when you get to the top, whatever that definition was, the ideal job, or the dream job, or the dream life, whatever you were working towards, you get to the top, you realize that it wasn't all you thought. And then a dramatic event in your life pushes you over the edge, and you fall into what the book calls, or David calls, the valley of transformation. That helps you reset, helps you rethink, helps you question all the things you've done. And then you climb your second mountain, which is the title of the book. And when you climb that second mountain, your whole lens, or your lens is different, because instead of having that be centered around you, is centered on other people. And it talks about service. It talks about helping others. It talks about being a mentor to others. It talks about being humble. So that's how I think of life now, in a different way.
Well, I love that, because also when listeners tune in, the hope is that, again, they take what they like and leave the rest. Because you mentioned you read that book and you didn't need it in that season. But the point of it is, everything you hear here, everything you listen to may not apply now, but you may need that little nugget of wisdom later. And so I like to say, take what you like and leave the rest, and what is fitting for you now in your life that will help you transform. And so that leads me into question number 2, which is, what season are you in right now in your life?
Yeah. I am all about words that are important to me, and that helps me reminds myself, or I remind myself of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So to me, right now, I'm in a season of faith, hope, and action. I think of the things that have happened to me in the last few years. I'm thinking about the last 3-4 years. Mm-hmm. And before that, I thought I had everything figured out. I had the life I wanted, so I thought. I had accomplished the goals I had set for myself. And I feel like almost as if in a very selfish way, definitely not humble way, I had arrived. And one of the things that that people will know about me is that I like to know what's ahead. Like when I'm here, I need to know what it feels like to be 3 steps ahead. And it's such a difficult place to be because you never know. You think you do, but you don't know. But at that point in life, I was in the company that I felt I was going to retire at. And I had invested my life savings into that company, bought a ownership into the company. And it was a mental wellness company. Therefore, it was relevant. I thought, I have it all figured out. I know what I want to do. I know where I want to be with my kids. And then all of a sudden, everything changed. And it changed almost overnight. So I felt lost. I never thought I would be at 50 or in my 50s rethinking my life. And it was horrible. And again, I didn't know what the next steps were. So I was lost. And that's where
certainty.
Right? I like certainty. A lot
of people do.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gives me comfort, even though there's no such a thing. Certainty to a level, but in reality, you have control over nothing. But I thought I did, and then I lost it all. And that's where faith comes in, is knowing that you don't have control over anything, but God does. Mm-hmm. And that you pray to Him every day, and you basically open up and say, you know how I feel, you know what makes me worry, what makes me happy, and please help me. So that to me has been a very humble moment, because I grew up in a religious home. Mm-hmm. So prayer was always a thing to do. And I think I prayed differently then. I just did it because it was supposed to be done. But now faith has increased because I need God's help. So I now look back and I'm thinking, yeah, faith is important, which then takes me to the next one, which is hope. Even though you're doing your best right now, you hope that in the future, what is ahead of you is going to be accomplished. Mm-hmm. I feel so good about the things that are coming my way in life now, even though I had to reset. And again, life has a funny way of reminding you that it's all about changing consistently. And for me, that thought made me nervous. I was afraid of it. Change equaled fear. Now I'm like, it shouldn't. Mm-hmm. Change equals reality of life and an ability to reset, mm-hmm. to refocus, to start again, to do it differently. When I think of reset, is doing it differently. So now I welcome that, because it's an opportunity to do it better, to do it differently. And that leads me to action, which is now the time. I almost feel like when I had arrived that phase in life that I mentioned, mm-hmm. I feel like I did not try hard. I planned it all. I talked about it. When I met new people, I talked about where I was, all the books I had read, all the places I had traveled. But I wasn't really living life. I was focused on planning it, and I wanted that to sound pretty and sound interesting to people, but I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it for me. So now I'm like, okay, this is the time for me to step up and get to action. So you and I are involved in an amazing project that is a project of that I'm very passionate about, that you're very passionate about. I was doing things that came my way almost before. Now I'm like, I'm taking control over this. You taught me when I met you very early in our relationship that we have the birthright to build our own lives. And I didn't understand what that meant. Now I do, because now I'm taking action and saying, I want this for me. I'm making the decision of what I want to do, how I want to do it, who I want to do it with. Mm-hmm. And that is the actionable piece of the stage I'm in now.
And what is the project we're doing?
It's called Hands for Hope. It's a foundation that focuses on helping the youth, kids and youth in marginalized communities in my home state of Chiapas, Mexico. Right on the border with Guatemala is where Chiapas is the border that no one talks about, at least here. Everyone talks about the border with the U.S. This is even a harder conversation of the border down south, southern Mexico. And there's really not much there. So is you and I coming together and putting our hands together and getting that into action to raise awareness. People here probably have never heard about Chiapas and where it is and what happens there. But through you and I, now people are becoming more aware. And we're now leading that foundation. You're a co-founder with me on that. And I'm so proud of us for stepping up and doing something and building the life we want.
Yes. And this is something that when I met Gabby, he was with a completely different company, and this foundation was helping this area formerly. And then when his life changed and everything ended that he thought was going to be long-term, except us. We always say, well, that gave us each other, and God gave us each other through that company. So that was amazing. But that foundation is coming to a complete end, and the funds and the help for these areas that we got to personally go and see and fall in love with, these people who we thought we were helping, but they actually gave and changed our hearts. That seed was planted in us to say, we will always be a part of this. And then in the blink of an eye, his position at that company ended. And that was it. Until we had the conversation and said, no, why does it have to die? Why can't we do it? So as a couple, we came together, and Gabby used his law skills to do all of the back end work and paperwork to make it come to life. And I was maybe the little nudge to say, somebody's got to do it. Why can't it be us? And why shouldn't it be us? I think we're supposed to do this. And we came together, and now here we are. And we get to do this piece as our purpose, as a big part of our service purpose in life, to give back. And so again, you can reach Gabby at Hands for Hope Foundation on Instagram, and you can find at our website, www.handsforhopefoundation.com.
Stacey, may I just say, you didn't give yourself enough credit. It was Stacey pretty much every week asking where that was. And I just want to say that is the actionable piece of the phase that I'm in, which is sharing life with you and you living by example, how important it is to not just talk about it, but do something about it. And you came to me and said, you don't have to have it all figured out. You have to want to do it, and things will come together. And I listened to you, but again, fought the thought because we needed so many things that now we have that we didn't have then. And it all started by putting together the application, filing it with the IRS, and doing all these things. But I just could not see it all. You were there pushing and saying, build it and people will come. And that's what's happening. So,
and it's part of when God tells you to do something, you don't need to know the how, why, when, where, what, just do it. And that was a big step for us because we knew for a fact that we should be involved. And then when it ended, it seemed like, oh, okay, well, I guess we did the right thing. And then I guess we said yes, but we knew that wasn't it. And that's part of, if you feel that nudge of something in your life, just do it and believe for what's going to come in the future, because we're living it now and it's happening now. So, all right, that leads me to question number 3. What got you here? And I love asking that question in that way and seeing how people answer, because that it could go any direction. And so again, listeners, remember to make it interactive. What got you here? But I'd love to hear your answer.
Yeah, when I heard that question, it took me back to when my life started back in, being a child. I was born, as I mentioned, in southern Mexico. Chiapas is the poorest state in the whole country, and Mexico is a developing country, meaning it's also not the easiest place to live, but Chiapas is the poorest state of all. I didn't know that when I was growing up. I had a very happy childhood. We didn't have much, but we had what we needed, meaning food at the table every day.
I can vouch for that, because every single one of them is happy. They are. You meet them all, they're all boys, and then mom and dad. And that is one thing that is consistent. They all have a pizzazz of joy about them. It's true.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah.
You're kind. I love this podcast. I felt like I was coming to give, but I'm getting a lot. That's a beautiful thing about edification, right? You edify, you build, you grow. So back to my story, I was really happy. We, back in the day when you could play on the street forever, went to public schools. I'm the fifth of six boys, and my dad was a school teacher. So raising five kids in a home and a household that was very small, very humble, it takes a lot of work. My dad worked really hard. I think that's one of the first times I understood that working hard brings great fruit. And my dad did that, and he was not much at home because he was always away working. My mom raised us all. Most of the time it was her. But it was a happy home. And I didn't understand that opportunities were very, very limited where I grew up, but they are. We're talking about in the state, 66, 70% poverty rate. Extreme poverty is just there, very tangible. But I never really thought about that. My dad, I feel like my dad was born ahead of his time. He had this vision, very clear vision, that even when he made as, school teacher salary, which was very small for 7 people in his family, he found and managed to save every paycheck. He put money aside. And the reason why he put money aside wasn't to go on vacation, wasn't to buy a new car. We never had a new car. And that's not strange to people in the U.S. either. I'm not trying to make it sound as if we're the only ones, but it was definitely not what I realized it was. It was just great. But my dad put money aside every paycheck because he knew that education was what he would give us. He would not leave, and he was very open from the beginning, where I'm not going to leave you with any possessions, any properties, nothing. Is education where I'm going to focus on. And when the time came, each one of us, his 5 boys, we have a brother who passed away, but all those who were alive, he, when the time was right, would bring us into his bedroom and almost have like an interview with us and say, "Are you ready to go?" And what that meant was, "Are you ready to go to the U.S. to learn the language, to learn English?" My opportunity came when I was 15 years old. Now that I look back and we have a 16-year-old who is going through his own journey and trials and tribulation. I don't even understand how at 15 I said, yes, I'm ready to go. And I was so excited to come to the U.S. Please remember, I had never left home ever. And I would go from that to a foreign country with a foreign language, with a foreign culture, and everything was new to me. Even the smell of, I'll never forget when I landed and when I got here, the smell of grass, fresh cut grass, the lawns. We didn't have that there. They don't have that there. Everything was different. But I was so excited to come and take my one opportunity, and my one shot in life was to come and learn English. And my dad knew very well that by doing that, my eyes would be opened and I would be able to understand life and the world differently, to be hungry and then want something and chase it.
Yeah, and I'm learning Spanish. I've been working on it for years now, and I am getting a lot better. But picture this, 15 years old, sent to the U.S. with $1,000 in his little tiny pocket in his jeans, sewed in there, knew no English. Dad wrote some flashcard words to say, like, how do you get a taxi? Things like that. This was before phones. This was before, hey, you can just use Translate. There was nothing. There was none of that. And I'm trying to wrap my mind about how brave that was. And sometimes it's great. You don't know what you don't know of what you're stepping into. And I just found that, I mean, I know that the listeners are going to agree your story is remarkable because you did that in not knowing one lick of English and then starting school the next day.
Yeah, I landed into the biggest airport, the O'Hare Airport in Chicago, because I went to Iowa, out of all places. I went to Iowa. I loved that, though. But this is someone who I had been on a plane once before. My dad took us on a special trip to Mexico City, and it was horrible because it was bad weather and it was up and down. It wasn't good. But anyway, all that to say, I got on a plane. My mom and I took the bus from our hometown, my hometown, went to Mexico City. It takes about 18, 20 hours to get there. So we were on a bus for that long, and then went to the airport, she put me on the plane from Mexico City to Chicago. And she said that she waited until she couldn't see me. So that she broke down.
Cannot imagine.
So just thinking that now, that being a dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was great. I was so excited. I never thought about all the risks and anything, but landed in Iowa or Chicago, and then took a bus to go to Iowa. But I was dropped off at school the next day. I landed on a Monday, and then went to school on a Tuesday. And from that point on, I was on my own. And that's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And it was rough, but I made it. I survived. My dad knew that. My parents knew that. My mom was just probably the one that struggled the most to see her young kids just go away.
But the forward thinking that they had is what helped you get here. And the fact that they gave you that opportunity of something that would change your life truly.
Forever, right? Because that's the conclusion of my journey in that phase of life is I was never the same again. I never looked back. I looked forward and I said, I won this. So to summarize my life in, I guess, 2 minutes is I then finished. I was a freshman at 15, freshman, sophomore, can't remember now. But then I went back home and I told my parents, I need to find a way to get back there because I want to go there again. And my dad said, great, well, get to work. So I finished high school in Mexico City, got into law school in Mexico, and finished law school. And I knew I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to come. So I applied to come to law school to the U.S., and I applied at Brigham Young University. I'm a Cougar, True Blue. And I got into a program that was an international law. So I went to school there, graduated in 2003, knocked on every door possible to find a job. And again, because I was an international student, if I did not find a job, I would have to go back because I didn't have a legal status to be here. So that is when things got really, really hard. I had $237 in my bank account, and I had no job, and I had to decide, and my rent was $220. So I had about $17, $20 to live. And until that point, I got a call, which was an invitation to be part of a law firm, which now is the largest law firm in Utah. And I say that in a very humble way, and I'll tell you why. I want people that are listening to this to know that it doesn't matter where you're born. That doesn't define you. You can do anything is based on what you're willing to do to get there, whatever that destination is. But then from that place, from the law firm to a gold mining company, I was their senior counsel, then decided to transition into business, got into executive teams of 2 companies, 3 companies, and then here I am now redefining what I want to do because that was a good experience, but it wasn't what I wanted.
Well, and what's so cool to me is that now here we are full circle. Your dad and mom gave you an opportunity for education, and now here we are. Our project is to give back and provide opportunities for education, which is
full circle.
Question where you kind of answered who helped you get here. But if you want to add anything else to that, obviously your mom and dad helped you get here.
Yeah.
And anyone else you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just say that when I think of how, who helped me get here, I didn't do it alone. Sometimes people use the phrase self-made millionaire or self-made success. There's not such a thing. No one can do it alone. I mean, your parents, for once, are your first mentors in life. And that was the case for me. Then when I went to Iowa, when I mentioned that experience, I made friends with a 5-year-old boy who became a good friend of mine, perhaps the closest. He didn't know that. But I felt so free to talk to him. My English was not, I didn't speak any English. So I was learning and listening to him, and he was 5 years old. And to me, I was fascinated because such a little boy spoke English and I didn't know how to speak English. But he became a mentor to me and helped me in different ways that he didn't know at the time. But Gordon and I spent a lot of time together. We talked. I would listen to his accent. I would say things without feeling judged, and he wouldn't blink an eye, and he would just respond or say, I didn't understand. Anyway, he was a mentor to me. It doesn't matter.
Innocence of babes.
You can find mentors that are younger than you because of the way they touch your life. Mm-hmm. Then when I was in law school, again, probably the second hardest thing I did when I came up here and went to law school here, it was super hard for me. Even though I spoke English, better English then, it was super hard. Going to law school is no joke. And Matthew Poulter was a good mentor to me. I think of how I got here. I think of mentors and miracles. That's the two things I think of. Mentors and miracles is what got me here, who helped me get here. And Matthew was definitely a good mentor to me at law school and believed in me more than I did perhaps then, and helped me get through it. And I graduated, and he's a good friend of mine. I'll never forget what he did to distill in me the belief that I could make it. Then I went into the law firm that I mentioned, and Conan Graves, my mentor to this day, just beautiful soul who saw something in me. Again, I look different than anyone else in that law firm. And some people, are different. They think that because of the color of your skin, you're not capable. He believed in me and gave me a chance, and I stayed at the law firm for almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it taught me a lot. And then after that, I transitioned into business. I left the legal field, and I had two mentors, Fernando and Martin, who knew the industry that I was going into and taught me principles of business. And then I started doing a lot of reading myself. But yeah, mentors, and then the miracles, people coming at the right time to give you what you need.
Yeah.
And things happening just perfectly.
And this is what I like about Full Circle of Life to the Fullest, because people helped each of us along in our lives in certain ways that helped us keep going. And now we pay it forward. And that's one of the beautiful pieces of Life to the Fullest. And what a ride. And that leads to question 5. What is your favorite ride of your life moment, if you will, or your big wave moment? Something that I can't wait to hear your answer on that.
Yeah, it's coming, baby. I don't think I have written it yet, which is awesome. It gets me excited. I feel like I'm on that board. I have fallen off the board a few times and hit my head. That literally happened. But in this analogy, I think that I see the wave coming, and it's getting higher and higher, and I'm really excited paddling, getting ready to catch it. But it's Hands for Hope is some for-profit projects that I have, some in Mexico, some here. There's a dental lab where you and I are a part of, opening in Mexico, and then there's a couple projects here. But those are my big moment, my big wave is happening right now.
And what would you say on question 6? What are you looking forward to that is still yet to come?
Is seeing those projects that are now starting come to life, is impact. I think the word impact says it all. I want to see how much impact you and I together and individually in our respective projects can make. I want to look back and see my life footprint, how much impact we can have with the projects and the people that we're interacting with. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And you said spiritually, you're looking forward to?
Yeah, spiritually, relationships. My relationship with God is the first one that I think of when I think of relationships. I feel like I have now come into a new understanding of what I need to do to build a stronger relationship with God. I now see that the relationship that I had back when I was going to I mean, my family is very religious, and I grew up in a very religious home, church every Sunday and activities and things. And that it taught me and gave me a lot of good things. Now I'm looking at it and thinking of the sincerity that I have when I pray, the thoughts that I have throughout the day to be more like Jesus, to be more like Christ. It's changing my relationship with him, therefore changes my relationship with you, with the kids, with friends, people that I am reconnecting with that I didn't talk with for years. They're popping up. Mm-hmm. And I see that as an opportunity for me to choose my friends, choose my relationships. Before, I made friends with people that came my way. Now I'm actually choosing and going intentionally about who I want to spend time with.
And I personally love watching this because I've seen you make bold moves and changes for our marriage and for our family. And for those of you who are listening, we have the most beautiful love. And I just want you to know this was not our first. We've both been married previously, and we found each other. A man from Chiapas, Mexico, met a woman from Xenia, Ohio, in Utah. And it's actually, one time we chat GPT'd, what's the likelihood of that happening? And it's really literally 1 in a billion.
1 in a billion is what it said.
You look at those full circle moments, and I'm just proud of you because I've seen you go from not loving at all the uncertainty of what is next and not knowing what are you going to do and how are you going to do it, to walking in those big steps of faith. And instead of walking in fear, you just said, you know what, this is going to make me stronger and I'm going to do it. And I am so proud of you. So
thank you, baby. You're such a mentor. By the way, the mentor's question, my mentor today at this stage in life, one of those is you. I've watched you do things daily that are very telling of who you are, and that is inspiring to me, and you're a life mentor to me today. So
I love you.
Note. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So question 7, what dreams do you still have?
When I think of dreams, I think of probably not actionable things. So I would love to change that to goals. What goals I have instead of just dreams, but goals is do this and do it better. Do life better. I want to, my goal, my dream goal is to lead my home before I lead my work. Do it differently. That second mountain concept of I'm going to do it now to serve others, that is my goal, is to do this differently, is to do it with you and the kids. I've traveled because of work all over the place. I've been to more than 60 countries, if not more. I haven't counted them, but I've been all over the place. But I've been doing it on my own, alone. I want to do that with you. I want to do that with the kids. I want to do that with people that I value, that I appreciate, that add to my life. So that is my goal. That is my dream, to do good, to impact people with a different view, a different intention. That's what I think of when I think of a dream.
And you wrote that quote on your notes, life principle, living life to the fullest isn't something that happens by accident. It's something you choose every day. And I love that. And I can say what a joy it is to get to be living this in real life and see that this kind of relationship is possible. This kind of family is possible. This kind of life mission is possible. And we're doing it together. And I can't thank you and God enough for getting to be the recipient of you choosing that lifestyle.
Yeah, it was a process, right? It was like the Titanic turning for me because I didn't understand it. I thought, yeah, good luck deciding what you want to do. You do what's being given to you, what's handed to you, and you deal with that life that way. No, it's playing offense instead of playing defense in life and going for what you want. And it's happening. And I am the first one to say it has been a miracle to see how my life is changing because I decided to play offense. And now I'm following your footsteps, Stacey, because you told me from the day one, I'm building the life I want to live. And I'm like, what does that mean? Now I know.
Well, and that leads me to question 8. 8 and 9 go together, but it's how often do you think about living life to the fullest? And I know it's probably more now because I'm in your life, but
Oh, yeah.
I would love to hear your answer to that. And what, question 9, they go together. What does living life to the fullest mean to you?
Yeah, I think about it every day, Stacey. When I wake up, every day is what am I going to do today to live life to the fullest? I feel like it's never been in my head the way it is today, in a good way, because I'm more aware of my decisions. I'm more aware of what I'm going to do. And to me, living life to the fullest, there's a quote that I love that really, really hit me when I read it. It is, happiness or living a happy life means to enjoy the passage of time. So be present. To be present for me means to live life to the fullest, to slow down. Mm-hmm. I was sitting on our swing on the porch at our home just Monday, and it was a nice, beautiful sunny day, and we have a beautiful flower, and a yellow butterfly landed on it. And that was my happy moment then. Mm-hmm. That's what a happy life is not a state, is a byproduct of knowing when to slow down and enjoy that moment, be present. Is you reaching out to hold my hand at night before we go to bed. It's looking at Sylvie, our daughter, opening presents. She just turned 12, opening presents and seeing her beautiful smile. Is sitting down and watching a soccer game, which I love, mm-hmm. and really enjoying it. It's taking a bite of your favorite meal and not saying much, but smiling because it's so good. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, living life to the fullest.
This is why I design these questions, to ask them in this way, because every person I ask is going to have a different answer. And you listeners at home are going to be thinking, what is that for you? And that's what I find so interesting to hear. What is it that makes it full for you? I think it's so beautiful. And the last question of the day is, what is your best thought today? Speaking of living in the moment.
Gabby, do not screw the podcast that you're going to do with Stacey later today. Yeah, baby. I just want to say that my best thought today was in the morning. I had a conference call, and I was telling a friend who I'm doing a business with now. He's my partner and really good friend. And I said, I never thought that prepping for the podcast with Stacey would become such a beautiful experience for me to go back in time, look at my life, and thank God for it. So that was my best thought.
Thank you. I got to say the same thing. As I read the notes that Gabby prepared, it was such a gift to me to hear your story again, read your answers again. And I just want to take the last moment to say, I introduced at the beginning saying I interview humble heroes. And the reason I look at you as a humble hero is from the second I met you, I found your heart and your story one of the most unique and incredible I've ever heard. And I think to myself, wow, I don't know if I could have done what you did. And I admire you. I think you are one of the strongest people I know. You have stayed tender. You have made it through some of the toughest things in life and that I will never know. And because of where I grew up compared to what you had to do just because of where you grew up. And I just want to say thank you for sharing today, and thank you for your love, and thank you for where I know that are many listeners that are going to be encouraged by your story, just like I am every single day. So I'll just end with this. Listeners, while life keeps twisting, we keep living. Go out and live life to the fullest.